3, 2, 1. What up YouTube, KK here again with another basic tutorial. Today we're going to be doing electricity and just like solid objects like earth and rock and cement and stuff like that. Let me know what you think of the face cam. I'm going to be using it from now on because, I don't know, I might be, who knows, maybe. But we're going to keep, as always, we're going to keep this real simple. Lightning could be many different colors, but for the sake of the white background and everything, we're going to make ours blue. So you can see it. See. Okay, cool. So there's two different ways you can do lightning. You can do it, well, there's more than 2 ways. There's like 3 ways. There's a bunch of different ways you can do lightning. So you could do lightning how you see it with the naked eye, so the clouds, and lightning is like an instant, so it's like an image. This is if it's like a lightning strike from far away. But the most part, people would just do a tween and fade it out. And I'll show you an example. I'll show you an example of that later. So everything I'm telling you about, I'm gonna show you an example of later on, whether I skip it or at some point in this video there'll be an example. You can do electricity that's like around something, like I guess like a ball of electricity. Different particles jumping off, and you can do like I'm sure you guys have all seen those globes that they sell in like science fairs that have the electricity in it that comes off the center, and when you touch it with your hand, it's attracted to the heat in your hand. So there's a bunch of different ways, but electricity for the most part is like energy. Like it's a lot of like concentrated energy. And it's kind of like a whip. Electricity is like a whip. As with fire and water is heavy, and the more water there is, the more disperses as weight to it. Fire is more finicky, like air. It burns and it consumes, but it doesn't like hit, unless you're doing like fireballs or something like that. But in essence, just like regular fire, since fire, that's just how it is. Electricity is energy. It feels like a whip. It cracks and it's very fast. There's not a lot of slow electricity unless something's being electrified. So for example, let's say there's like a metal rod, and we're gonna do this real quick. So let's say there is a metal rod. This is a metal rod, and it's electrified and it's energized by the electricity. So let's say something hits it from this point on. So zap. So electricity, and now the electrical charge is gonna go across the entire. It's gonna resonate inside the metal rod, especially because it's a conductor. So anything that conducts electricity, like metal or anything like that, the electricity will move through it. Mind you, it's still powerful. Like so. Touching electricity isn't like a regular thing. So if you animate somebody touching it, make sure if they're like a regular person, they have like protection and stuff. And there's always a cause and effect when touching these type of things. So think of electricity like I don't recommend this and don't do this, but look up a video of somebody putting a fork in an electrical outlet. Don't do it, but like electricity is just energy, and it like a battery, it charges stuff up, but it's really jolting really fast, and electricity usually only takes a couple frames to animate, depending on how you're animating it. Yeah, and that's it. That's kind of it. So there's different ways to animate. So if something's conducted by it, or I'm sure you've seen like overcharged batteries. So if there's like an overcharged battery, just do this real quick. These are simple. Hopefully everything I'd say makes sense. So that's all I want. I just want everything I'm saying to make sense to you guys. And if not, please let me know so I can readjust how I'm saying things. Like an overcharged battery will sit here, and over time the electricity would want to escape, and you'd see like bolts of of it jumping out. But electricity is really fast, so like charges up. I make sound effects to help me explain stuff. That's electricity. So I think I'll show this in real time. You know, this is just charging, trying to get out of wherever it's stored in, because just like water, if you have a lot of pressure, so electricity is pressurized energy, and when it strikes, it's powerful and it packs a punch. Just like if you had a big bin of water and you poked a hole in it, the pressure would shoot the water out of the little hole, because that's the only way it can escape. So it's the same thing with electricity, but electricity is way more sporadic and crazy. And when water meets electricity, that's dangerous. So, so yeah, and then lightning strikes. Lightning moves in a sporadic way, but it's still there's still a design to it, I guess, for lack of a better term. So for example, when lightning comes from the sky, I'll just show you an example real quick. So when lightning falls from the sky in slow motion, the electricity follows like a path, you know, and it follows that path down to the ground. But it's not like electricity has to move like this. It's not like electricity's forced to move like this. It just follows. I don't know what it follows, but it follows this path to the ground, but super quick. So to us, that's how it moves in real time. It's like it comes from the sky or from the ground and up. However people explain it, I don't know what it actually does. Like I said, we'll learn together. So, but to our eyes, it's like an instant, you know. So to our eyes, it does this. Like it'll hit the ground and then slowly fade out. Let's do this. Let's make it slowly fade out. Now we're gonna do a shape tween. And we're gonna get the color for the opacity at 0. Boom. And it fades out. To our eyes, that's what it does. It strikes and it fades out. But in slow motion, you know, it crackles and everywhere, it hits the ground, and it's cool. It's cool. As for slow electricity, usually if there's if someone's charging something, or somebody's their hand, we'll draw a real quick hand, real quick. Hold on. How come I can't see it on that? What is happening? Oh, the opacity down. Okay, anyways. If you draw a hand, just draw a quick hand, whatever. Quick hand, thumb, pinky. Yeah, that's great. That's his palm. Okay. So there's like a ball, or like a concentrated, like a nucleus for electricity. So this is the ball of electricity. The electricity emits from that, so that's its source. And because it's being controlled or something, like the electricity, the way it reacts is more like the ball in the science fair. And electricity always breaks up. It usually never stays together, but it always follows, like I said, like a uniform, I guess, in some way. So think of electricity when it flows slowly as like a string, kind of. So when it flows slow, like in those orbs, think of it as like string, you know, or like something waving in the wind that'll shock you. And it's real sporadic too, so don't be afraid to have like little jolts of stuff pop out like the battery, you know. And this goes for electricity in general. So if you have a ball of electricity, it can move sporadically. If you have a ball of electricity, it can move like the rod. So like you have a lot of freedom with electricity as long as you keep the main characteristics of it alive, which is that it's real jolty and it jumps around everywhere. It sparks and crackles and just is overall just crazy and really powerful. And for the most part, you guys are good. You can exaggerate it like they do on Pokemon and have somebody, you know, somebody standing near quick. Get like like Pikachu shocks people. It's like, that happens, but not, you can exaggerate it a little bit. This is all animation and fun, and as long as you keep the basics down, you're good. So that's basically electricity, no matter how you do it. Even if you did like a ball, somebody shooting a ball of electricity, the ball of electricity would, the particles that trail would be sporadic, and they would fly off. Electricity's particles do not last long. They're just as gone as quickly as they started. So probably like 1 or 2 frames of the particles jumping off just to show that they jumped off. But it's, electricity is really just crazy. So you have more freedom with this than anything else that's like natural in the world, I guess, because electricity is not predictable. Electricity is not, unless you're sending it through something like some sort of circuitry where you can guide it. Electricity only moves along a line if you guide it, but for the most part you can get away with, like, even something messy like that you can kind of get away with if you color it in and everything. Like you don't have to get too like, oh, this is, just basically that, if you want to look a certain type of way, then of course, animate it a certain type of way. We'll talk about it we'll talk about the third dimension later, like electricity coming towards you, all this stuff. But this is just like, as usual, the basics. So that's basically electricity. Hopefully that makes sense. And for like solid objects, like rocks and stuff like that, honestly, just real quick, I would say the cube. So if you want to animate stuff like that by hand, I think you get it like your 3-dimension. You know what? We're gonna get, that's a totally different video. Anyways, basic animation of solid objects is simple. Just draw like a rock. Let's say somebody kicked a rock up from the ground. There's a rock now. Boom, there's a piece of rock. Now, unlike fire and water and electricity, solid objects don't shift form every like frame or two. They don't, like, they're solid objects. So for this, you could, what's the wrong button? There you go. Solid objects, you just animate. You just move them along, or you can tween them. So for example, this rock, if it was flying, because you could always redraw it over and over again. If you have a guide for it, or you have a certain shape you want to keep, you could very easily draw this. But if you didn't want to, especially if you're doing like a 2D stick figure fight or something, you can just draw the object, make it into an object or a movie clip or graphic, and just move it along the timeline like this. And then so let's say it hits the wall and it breaks. Boom. Just like everything else we've animated, there's particles with rocks too. So throw the rock, boom, but they're solid chunks, and there's usually smoke involved. We can talk about animating smoke another time. Well, no, that's a part of it. We can talk about it. So there's always a bigger chunk that stays, that remains, usually. And then the smoke will clear. I don't know if I'm explaining this good, but like I said, let me know if I'm explaining this good or not, because I really want to help. And yeah, so the particles fly out. And don't forget, everything has weight. And the bigger something is, usually the heavier it is. But since we're talking about elements, fire, the bigger the fire is, just the hotter it is. It's not necessarily heavy. But the more smoke, you know, the bigger something is, the more of everything else there is. So for fire, the more bigger it is, the more smoke. For water, the bigger it is, the heavier, the bigger the splash. So size means a lot when it comes to animation and just animating scale. There you go, scale. You know, scale makes a difference for a lot of things. Because if somebody was this big next to these rocks, you'd be like, oh snap, you know, then they're like giant boulders falling on them. But if a dude's like this big, you know, the rocks will still hurt, but it's not as, you know, it's not as perilous. He's not as scared. He's just like, oh snap, let me just step back a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of it. Like, this one, there's not a whole lot of explanation to it. So hopefully everything I say makes sense, and this might gonna be one of the shorter tutorials, I guess. As I go along and just get better at. Oh, actually, that's kind of cool. Super quick animation, super quick. Break apart. Just make sure everything makes sense. You know, like don't. At least make everything make sense visually. This goes for everything. So electricity. Let's say you have your source, or wherever it comes from, cloud, somebody's hand, whatever is the source. There's always a point the electricity is going to reach. There's always a point. There's always a place it's going. There's always it's always going to reach something. So let's say, for example, it's this point here, right there. Excuse me. You want to do like a lightning bolt. So I say practice. So you know, hey, there you go. If you want to practice electricity, make 2 points. Just basic. Make 2 points. However far away you want them to be, and practice like different types. So let's practice like a thunderbolt. Like it originates from this point, right? So you got the electricity coming out, it's going crazy, and then it makes like a straight shot, right? It's here. You know, as long as you have it consistent enough, you know, it changes direction. It's sporadic, so you don't have to be as. And then if you know it stabilizes, so it's like electricity, and then if it stabilizes, you could have something like this, or this could be electricity is layers, a lot of layers. It sounds crazy to me. So just like I said, let me know if this makes sense. This sounds crazy to me. So let's do this. We're gonna do this in real time. So we're gonna stretch this out. That's actually kind of cool. So and then as that one's going on, you can animate the other types of electricity. So once the connection's set, you can do the rope kind of electricity that's like attached to it that just moves along a current. So it's like as it goes, it's like an extra little current that comes off of it. You know, just extend it a bit. Let's see. And then it just adds more life to it. And then you can add the sparks coming out. So electricity is like, any way you do it is, you know, any way you do it makes sense. Like I said, there's no rules for electricity. For the most part, it's pretty sporadic. It's pretty just crazy. And the sparks can come from literally anywhere along it. It's not like, oh, it has to be at the point of impact, or it has. The point of impact is where most of the power, you know, is where the power goes. And you know, like I said, it's like a whip. So when lightning hits something, another example, like lightning. Let's say lightning hits this. So depending on how much electricity it is, if it's a lot of electricity, like anything else, the more there is, the more powerful it is. So a little bit of electricity is like a whip, like a bee sting or something. A lot of electricity is like Pikachu, Team Rocket, getting electrocuted. Don't copyright me. So you can have it so when it hits the object, you can actually have the object react like, you know, got hit by a lot of like electricity. So it's like, you know, it's crazy a little bit. Like the initial impact is insane, you know. It's like staticky. And then, and then, it gets hit like, actually, that's what that looks like. It gets hit, and then the connection stays, and then you can do, the object can get, it's charged now because it's been hit, so it can do its little jolts of just like electricity dancing around it. Because it's charged now. It's kind of like the battery, how I said the battery, it like trying to escape. It's like that. So, actually, it's really cool. I like that. Okay. So that's basically it. Solid objects are solid. You could very easily redraw this over and over again. You don't have to do the tween, but that takes a lot of practice for sizing and stuff like that, which is why people animate with guides. But this is the basic tutorial of electricity and solid objects. So thank you guys for watching. This has been Kid K on basic animation for electricity and solid objects such as earth and stuff like that. I thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this makes sense. We can always make a part 2 and get into more in depth so we can both learn. You guys can learn how to animate this stuff, and I can learn how to talk about animating this stuff, so it all makes sense and we can all just work together and be a big happy family. So I gotta draw my face while you look at my face. Hold on. So thank you guys once again for watching another tutorial video. I'll see you guys next week. I'll look up something to do a tutorial about. I just want to get the elements out the way so we can get into what you guys really want, which is like fighting and stick figures and stuff like that, which, I'm down for that. So yeah, just let me know in the comments below what you guys think, what you guys want, what you guys want to see, and I will oblige every week. So this has been Kid K with another animation tutorial. I'll see you guys. I get into my drawings. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.